there, what's going on, you guys, and welcome to a very special video that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. Ever since I've been on YouTube, and even a little bit beforehand when I was first getting into the community where people like to talk about movies in more of a critical sense, I've grown a little bit. I've found ways to change, and I've managed to interact with lots of people. And in that time, I've discovered certain things that I like. There's reasons that I really keep talking about cinema with people. There's certain people that I really trust their opinion on. And I've engaged on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, pretty much everywhere. And even just normal public, which is kind of my favorite way, is just to talk to the regular audience member, like when you walk out the door, talk to someone that was there with you. And with all of that, I wanted to talk about something that I'm noticing. Something that's kind of beginning to be a large part of the way we talk about movies when we are trying to critique them or be analytical about them, and that is modern film criticism. Something that I think is coming up just now. It's not too modern. I think it's been happening for about 5 years now. It's just beginning to become more prevalent and widespread, and it's something that I feel like can toxify, and it is kind of sort of diluting what we have for film criticism and the way films are treated, the way they're looked at, examined, and the way they're reviewed. And it can affect box office and people who talk about movies and so much more. And it has to do with just so much, from the way people have set expectations about things, the way people have ideas, the way they carry them out, the way it's expressed. And I want to talk about a lot of that here today. The first thing I really want to talk about is understanding who you yourself are. Are you a critic member or an audience member, or a reviewer? I think there's a big difference. I myself have always referred to myself as a movie reviewer. I'm not a critic because I by no means have the acolytes or the full understanding of film to really consider myself a critic. I'm not an audience member because I don't quite think I'm that casual. I'm more dedicated, I'm more locked in the community, and I'm constantly seeing movies and talking about them, reviewing them, and learning about them, and how they're made, and how to look at them, and how to grade them, and things like that, to kind of get ideas of what is objectively good and things like that. But I still don't have that level of criticism. I'm by no means this intelligent. I'm by no means at the point where I can notice every niche thing about a film, understand every detail and all the artistic forms that are put into it. So I always consider myself a movie reviewer, and I think that's a large part of something you need to do. You do need to preface what you do and say of who you truly are. There are people on this app and so many other places that truly are critics. They are quite literally people who I would say I would consider to be someone who understands film on a level better than others, and there's others that I think aren't. And many people confuse this, and in turn think that some opinions hold more power or less power, and that includes the people you watch. For instance, my opinion is not by any means probably going to be an opinion that is something that's grounded and should be taken as the gospel. For instance, I really love the film Napoleon. I actually was a pretty big fan of The Flash. Both are opinions that don't really resonate with the majority of audience members, and my reasons I could give you to back them up doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right. It just means that this is my opinion, which leads me to the next thing I want to talk about. That is what I call the I'm right mentality. This is something I've seen a lot in the Star Wars and the superhero community, and with the film bros, so to speak. That is the idea that someone will put something forward and say, they're right, you're wrong, and I'll hear no discussion about it, no debate, won't be open-minded. For instance, I've put out tons of reviews, and people will put in the comment section reasons they disagree with me, and oftentimes they've pointed out things I've missed or didn't understand correctly. And for the most part, I try my best to be, open, because sometimes I'm myself, admittedly, kind of stuck in my ways, but eventually I do come out of it, and I realize I should always be open and listen to what people have to say. And here's the crazy part about this. Film criticism has to do with something else as well. Objectivity versus subjectivity. And I feel like people have a little bit of trouble now sometimes when they're online talking about films, understanding the difference. Objectively good and bad, and subjectively good and bad. Objective is based in fact. Objectively, if I take this camera right now, and you can't see most of the movie because I'm filming it in a way where it's shaking and violent, I keep zooming in and out because the camera operator doesn't know what he's doing, that is objectively bad camera work. If there's a script, and the story just doesn't work because someone forgets some major things that were supposed to happen in it, or there's major plot holes, that is objectively bad. Subjectively is something that you don't like, something that actually has an answer, or something that has a reason behind it. For instance, maybe the director actually wants the camera to be shaking and to be zooming in and out. Maybe that's artistic choice. And if so, that's subjective, because movies are art, and art is subjective. The thing is, there are parts of film which are objectively able to be just good or bad, and there's parts that are subjectively good or bad. And understanding the difference is very important, and there are some great ways to do that. You can even YouTube this and find it out. But the thing is, when it comes to people having the I'm right mentality, no one wants to hear anyone else's points. I just watched a video yesterday for fun with myself and my brother where a guy was talking about Solo Star Wars story, and he says in the beginning, my opinion is right and everyone else's is wrong. And he won't hear arguments. He literally says that in the video, which I'm not going to leave his name, but nevertheless, that is the kind of mentality where people aren't open to other ideas. They're not open to reanalyzing something. And think of how many films that have come out and that are now classics, but when they came out, everyone said they're bad because people did this. It goes to prove how bad and how dumb that can really be. And it's something people should get over. Be open, listen, and actually try to actually see if you're wrong. Because you could be. There could be something there. Tons of films have gotten so much better over time because of this. But I want to talk about something else as well. That is film literacy. The ability to watch enough cinema to make yourself able to be someone who's reputable and to understand enough about cinema. You're someone that can be trusted on the topic or subject. I oftentimes like to listen to people before I subscribe to them, to listen how much they actually have seen, because if you only watch, let's say I, as someone who am a major fan of dramas, if I only watch drama films, I'm probably not the best person to listen to talk about a rom-com or about a superhero film because, well, I only watch dramas. However, if I watch an array of films from different eras, going back as far as I can to the modern time, I stay open-minded, I try to understand them, I try to properly do it, that I'm someone who's worth listening to. And I think that's something that everyone needs to work on. Is it's more like you need to get out of your comfort zone. And I've been trying to work with that myself and try to expand what I watch and try to understand it better. Because I can watch it, but it doesn't mean I understand it. I struggle a lot of times with certain genres, and I have to get better at them. And I like that people in the comments will actually help me with this. Again, this is where being part of a community is very, very helpful. It's something that we don't see as much anymore, which is people kind of collabing together in a sense, in a way that feels, helpful. And people oftentimes don't even want to accept that. And it's something that's pretty vital to understanding film, which goes to like that whole idea of preference versus performance. Do I prefer dramas? Yes. But did this movie perform very well, despite the fact it's an animated cartoon for kids? Yeah. Look at it through the lens of what it's supposed to be. Try to understand a lot of times you can. Read a little bit about movies. That's what I always try to do. I always try, and this is just my advice. Again, I'm not right about this, but this is something I like to do. Read a little bit of the movie, what the director said about it, everything like that, to understand if there's something you're missing before you just make statements about it. For instance, Ridley Scott's Napoleon again. I'm kind of okay with the movie. I think it's like a 6, 7 out of 10 because of the fact that Ridley Scott made clear that's supposed to be historically accurate. As someone who is a history buff and realizes, like I said in my review, the movie is completely inaccurate, in the historical context, it's terrible. But I'm able to separate historical biography from a film based on a historical figure. Be like, as a movie, not so bad. Historical film, terrible. Which is something else I want to talk about. Subtlety and the ability to have different points of views from one extreme to the other. People nowadays like to use the terms mid, bad, great. There needs to be subtlety. We need to bring this back. I'm dead serious. I like that a lot of people have grading systems and ways of explaining films where they don't have an extreme. But people now, I've realized a lot more, are like, well, you can't just like it. You have to love it or you have to hate it. And it's like, no, there are films that I just have no real strong feelings towards. It's a 4 out of 10. It's fine. I always use Multiverse of Madness as an example. If there was ever a film that I'm exactly 50-50 on, not 50.1 or 49.9 on, 50-50, it is Multiverse of Madness. I just don't have strong feelings. And a lot of people have problems with that because they say, oh, you need to have more. You need to, and I'm like, I get that, but I just don't. And I can't. I just physically don't have much more to it. And you understand that there's subtlety to a review too. You can love aspects of a film you hate, and you can hate aspects of a film you love. There needs to be a middle ground. There needs to be understanding that people have actual ideas beyond that, and you can't just be vague and say the movie was mid, or just make vague claims. You need to explain why. If I say a movie is good, I need to explain why it's good. If I say it's bad, I explain why it's bad. If it's average, I need to explain that. And also, people need to understand that within that same context, there's not everyone who's going to agree, and we can all respect each other's opinion. And respect is slowly fading. Also, there's so much nitpicking now. It's what I like to call cinema sinning. It's where you nitpick, and that's not film criticism. Saying that, oh, they accidentally, were shooting the movie, and I can tell, like, right here, that this thing's sticking out, and it wasn't sticking out earlier. That's a consistency error because it was 2 inches to the left. That's not film criticism. That's just you nitpicking. That's in every movie. Every movie's gonna have that mistake because movies are movies, and they're fake. Actual nitpicking can be good in a film if it actually has something to do pertains to the story. but sitting there trying to pick that out, that doesn't make you someone who's being critical. You're just at this point trying to dissect the film for details that are wrong, that are in every single movie. Literally every single 100% of them. So people, again, like to do this, and cinema sitting something doesn't make it necessarily a good review. Now you're just kind of hating on it. And I think another thing people have is agendas and bias. There's so much on this internet, particularly on YouTube, seeing a lot more of politics being injected in, personal opinions, beliefs, the way someone feels about an actor in real life. And the thing you understand is if you are going to review a movie, again, this is where understanding who you are is different. A critic cannot have these feelings attached and bring them to the review. An audience member 100% can. A reviewer, at least in my opinion, shouldn't. And I try not to. I feel like I usually don't. I've had a few times it's kind of been like, well, I really don't like this director or something like that. But that's the way it should be, and I'm trying to work on myself of just presenting it. I have had so many films where it's been so hard to separate that. Or like the way the film was created and produced that made me upset. Blonde is an example of this. Priscilla had so much controversy around it. Lightyear, there's been a lot of things I've had to talk about where you have to just present the facts. And that's what it comes down to. And it's lacking now. It's not there. And it's something that people really need to be able to do. You can't bring that to here. And if you're going to, don't preface yourself as a critic or a reviewer because you're not being critical. You're letting your feelings, your emotions come in. And it's okay to do that. It's not wrong. But know where you're at and accept it, work on it, and play to your strengths. The last thing that I really don't like is crowd compliance. This is basically where the Rotten Tomatoes score says it's bad, and that's how I base my opinion. Or worse even yet, everyone hates the movie, so you go in and now you don't like the movie. I've said this before. I don't watch reviews for movies or read reviews for movies before I go see them because I don't want to have any bias. I film my reviews, don't know what the internet says. Then after I've finished filming and I'm editing it, I'll usually listen to reviews while I'm doing this to kind of like, oh, let's see what other people are saying. Sometimes I have been so jealous because someone will make a point and I'm like, dang, I didn't think of that. That is so good. And other times I'm like, wow, everybody's just hates this movie and I love it. Or wow, everyone loves this movie and I just hate it. But I don't change that review. I post it because that was my opinion. And if I do change it, I'll make a secondary review saying my opinion's changed because of what others heard or what others said and how I heard other viewpoints. And that's something, again, that people need to have the ability to do. You can't just go with the crowd. If you like something, stay strong on it. Stand on it. It's okay to like something that everyone else doesn't. And don't be afraid to say so. I love my brother. I tell him this all the time because he doesn't give a shit what anyone else's opinion is. He'll tell you. He loves Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 the most. He then likes Guardians 1, then he likes the Holiday Special, and then he likes Volume 3. He's obsessed with the Guardians, by the way, but still, he doesn't care that people don't feel differently. For instance, I happen to think that Thor Love and Thunder is a guilty pleasure. It is for me. And I know that's like something that's ridiculous, but I still take enjoyment in it, and I have controversial picks about Star Wars, things like that. Don't be afraid to be true. The best way to be a critic is to be pure, honest, same for reviewers, same for an audience member. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your opinions down below and any ideas that you have, any ways you're feeling about modern film criticism. Thank you so much as always for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you all next time.